today, and this session is being recorded, and I'll just quickly clear the chat pane. So it's a great pleasure to have Paul along with us today. Paul is the host for today at Call Scotland, and he's going to be giving us an overview of OneNote, which really is for a program that's free. It's an excellent program. So it seems that most people haven't used it before, so I think you'll enjoy this session. So if there's any questions, just pop them into the text pane and we'll try and answer them either as we go through or at the end of the session. So I'll hand over to Paul now and let Paul take it away.
Hi everybody, you should see a OneNote screen on your screens. Now I'm just going to take you through this. I can't necessarily see your comments or hear you, so I'll fire through some of the basics of OneNote, and then at the end, in 20 minutes time, we'll have a chance for folk to ask some questions. But if anything occurs to you along the way, then just fire it into the chat pane, and Craig or Robert might be able to answer it, and if they don't, then we'll cover it at the end. So what you see in front of you is OneNote. This is OneNote 2010, and I've got on the right hand side, we've got some pages of information. So these are ones I've just prepared for this presentation. So the first thing is why use OneNote, and there's a number of reasons why you might like to consider it. The first one is that you can use OneNote as I see it as a digital jotter. So if you're a student or a learner and you're relying on technology, you want to go into class, take notes, organise stuff, and if you used Microsoft Word for that purpose, what we know is that you very rapidly find you end up with thousands, hundreds of little Word files kicking around all over your computer and your filing system, and it all gets rapidly out of hand. OneNote does a better job for that kind of purpose. Unlike a paper jotter though, because it's digital, you can insert photos and videos and links to websites and emails, etc. And I must admit, you see, I use it for all my work these days, and I do it because there's so much digital stuff going on, and paper just doesn't hack it anymore for me. Another reason is very simple, this reason, but it's easier to use than a word processor because you don't need to save it. As soon as I type anything into here, it automatically gets saved. And that simple fact makes the whole thing a real advantage for people in schools. It's more flexible than a word processor because you can type anywhere on the screen and you can draw. So that ability to move things around gives you a wee bit more flexibility than a word processor. So as I say, I use OneNote all the time. So for staff, for students and learners, it's got some advantages, and for staff, I also think it's got huge advantages because instead of having vast piles of bits of paper that you can never find in your bag, you just have your OneNote notebook, and that's it, done. Another reason I like it is because I can access my notebooks on my Windows PC, or my laptop here, or my iPad, or even my Android phone. And it doesn't matter what you're using, you can get access to your notebooks. Another reason why I think it's worth looking at is that because you can share resources on it, you can share pages and you can share notebooks. It's one method of getting materials to and from students, and particularly across different platforms. So if you've got a situation, the kind of thing I'm thinking of is you know, you're wanting to get some material and you want to get it to a student, and one student's using a Windows machine, another is using an iPad, another is using a macOS device, and so OneNote provides a kind of cross-platform mechanism for doing it. As I say, students can find and organise their digital materials more easily than using the computer filing system. So this is a screenshot here of a student's this is I think he was a primary 4 student. Just make it a bit bigger. And this is all his files, just sitting there in his documents. So we've got Clicker documents and word processor files and PDFs, images, all just dumped into one place. And that will take you some time to find. With OneNote, you can find them far easier. And the last thing is you can collaborate with your colleagues, literally on the same page. So that's what it can do, and I'll just show you how it does it now. Next page down. So OneNote keeps track of stuff, and the kind of metaphor that we've got here is shown on screen. At the left hand side we've got our notebooks, and I've got loads of notebooks on all sorts of different topics. So here's my getting started on OneNote notebook, where and inside this notebook we have tabs along the top, just like a loose leaf folder, and then we have tabs along the top. In this particular one I've only got one tab. In some of my others, like we did a course last week on iPads and dyslexia, or a course before on supporting learners. So these are the different tabs within my notebook. And then within each tab we can have pages down the side here. And it's completely flexible in how you organise it and structure it. So that's the tabs and the notebooks. And these are just pages from OneNote itself when you download it and install it. So they're suggesting that you could have different tabs for meetings, reports, projects, customer references, whatever. And you might use it for home stuff. So just to, I don't think I've got my personal one. Oh yes, I do have my personal one. So here we go. So I've got personal information, stuff about the Jamaica trip that we did last time, various motorbikes, what was I doing at the weekend? Music. I was playing in the Heart and Soul band on Princess Street Gardens, and here's all the songs that we're using, words and chords, PDFs, files. So it's completely up to you what you do with it, and that's one of the slightly scary things actually about it, and because it doesn't, there's no way you can use OneNote. It's up to you what you do with it. And then OneNote at school, they've got some examples here. You could have lecture notes, activities, blog ideas, hobbies, reading, whatever. So that's overview. OneNote Basics tells us that you can, first of all, you can take notes of many types. So you can type as you've seen. You can change the font, change the colours. You can have bullets, and you can number things. You can insert a table of whatever size, move it around wherever you want. You can take screen clippings, you can add in pictures. If you had an iPad, you could take a picture directly from the iPad and just pop it in anywhere on screen. On a PC, you'd be looking in the pictures library. You can record audio, so you could record what's going on in class. You could record video if you had a video camera attached. You can insert equations, and you can insert some simple symbols. You can draw using a variety of tools. And you can have things that you highlight. It feels very much like a bit of paper, really, except digital. So OneNote Basics. Let's go into top uses. How are we doing for time? 10 minutes. 10 minutes. It's also very easy to drag things onto it, and so maybe the best way of showing you that is that if I go to some demonstration notebooks that I've got here. So here's one on maths, like what I have prepared earlier. So in our maths notebook, you could have a folder for jotter, a section for jotter. If you're doing the TJ Maths books, you could have your textbooks sitting here. So, and this is something that I've found really helpful for a few of the students that I've set it up with. It's just simply a place that you can stick some files. So in here, in this case, I've just dragged a PDF onto the page. I'll show you how this happens, because it is remarkably simple. So if I had if I'm a teacher and I want to get some resources to a pupil, provided I can share the page, share the notebook, I can just drag the file from the desktop onto the page, and then I've got a choice of either having a link to the original file or inserting a copy of the actual file itself. And there it is, that's it done, and the pupil can now open and access that. So in this case, let's say the pupil is working on TG level F. So it opens it up happily at the last page that I looked at, and the student could be, well, in fact, the student could be using the comment and markup tools to mark up the file directly. So we're looking for 5 minus 2, where is that? And minus 2 minus 1. And then you could save that. And when you save a file within OneNote on the PC anyway, it just sits there saved. So one of the things, as I say, that's great about it is you can have files from staff, resources, or actual textbooks sitting there. And so here we've got a few examples. That's a PowerPoint. Some maths templates in Word. You can change the background of the page on a OneNote, certainly on the PC version anyway, so you can make it look a bit like a bit of paper, or you can make it look like squared paper. And a really simple thing that's quite handy is when you use the squared paper, I think it's snapped to the grid. So the tabs along the top, you can have anything you want, but I would imagine a situation where a pupil, you know, if you're in secondary school and you were going to maths, you might want to have, you know, one jotter at the start of each week. So you'd go into class and you would be doing some work today, and maybe you're doing some work on graphs, and you can take some bullet points. And it's, you know, it's just very free form in what you can do. So that's a maths jotter. Under an English jotter here, you might see I've got the same kind of format. I'm thinking we'll have our jotter notes for class notes at the left, but then we might have Unit 1 where we're studying Shakespeare, or we might have particular novels. Here's a Michael Morpurgo. We've got the Word file of the book, and then I think this is something that I copied off the Michael Morpurgo website, so you just copy and paste it onto the page. And then we might have different files for our folio. So that's the kind of structure of the thing. And you can see it's busy whirring away here. That's because it's saving any of these changes automatically on the OneNote notebook. Now, one of the things that we need to get our head around is where these notebooks are actually stored. And so if I went to do a new notebook, it gives me a choice of either storing it on the web, or on a network, or on my computer. The smart thing to do is to store it on the web, or certainly not on your computer. If you store it on your own computer, then you can only see it on this computer. And for me, half the point of OneNote is being able to access my notebooks on anything. So I've got essentially, if I go back to my notes, my getting started notes, there's two options really for us. You can get a free personal Microsoft account, and most of my notebooks are just stored on my personal Microsoft account. So you can do this for free, you as an individual, and that's what I've done. It doesn't cost me anything. I've got OneNote, which is actually now free, and you can get the OneNote apps on your iPad, and they're free too. You sign up for a free Microsoft account. It's just like signing up for a Dropbox account. You get OneDrive, which gives you 15 gigabytes of free storage, and you can get access to Office 365 online. So that's one way of doing it. The second way, which is to use your organisation's Office 365 account. And so for schools in Scotland that means Glow, but a lot of colleges have got an Office 365 account as well, and so does Edinburgh University, for example. Now in this case, it's a different mechanism for getting onto it. And if I go to my notebooks, they're all busy whirring away, most of these are on my free account, but I can also access one that's on my Glow account. Now you see it's asking me to sign in. So if I do that, it should ask me to go to it. I'll just check that I'm actually signed into Glow. I think it's flashing away saying that it's going to require me to sign. Right, let's start from scratch because it's important that we see this working. Yeah, okay, that's it now. So this is my Glow. If I go into my site, so I've logged into Glow, and if I now go to the tab at the left hand side here and open up OneNote Online, I can see my notebooks. Now the one I've been looking at is English. So this is exactly the same notebook on Glow Online as I've got on here. It looks different, but it's exactly the same data. So you could have your notebook on Glow. What I can also do is, if I right click on it or go up to share, I could share this notebook with anybody. Or if I go back to OneNote Online, I can do exactly the same thing. So if I click on share here, it asks me to type in the names and addresses. Now this would only work, I did think of setting this up for folk in advance, but it would only work if you've got a Glow account. So I'm looking down the list of people that were going to participate in the webinar. We don't all have a Glow account, so that's the reason I didn't do it. But if I did a search for this is now looking on Glow, so it's all the people on Glow across the whole of the country. And I could share it with Stuart Aiken and send him a message. And then it would send a message to Stuart, and it would allow him to open it up Notebook and either just view it or edit it. And basically it's as simple as that. That's what you do. So I think it's very powerful. If you can get the account business sorted out, one of the challenges that we had, I must admit, is that we did a course on Thursday last week on iPads and dyslexia, and I thought, right, we're going to have folk coming on this course. It's about iPads. We want to find and model a really good way of getting materials from teachers to students on their iPads, and I thought OneNote's a good way to at least have a go. So I set up this OneNote notebook here, and it's got all the information for the course, the timetable, blurb, a list of apps, including URLs about where you can go to. So if I click on this one, it will take me straight to the where you can download, you can buy or download Clicker Docs, and then all the different parts of the day, things about keyboards and mouse, things about OneNote, things about Book Creator, quick guides, lists of apps, lists of books to open in different apps. So it was all here, and I thought I'll share it with everybody. But we had a terrible problem, I've got to say, because some of the folk that came on the course had a personal account and some of them had a Glow account, and the two just don't seem to work very well together. So I must admit, if you're going to do this, you're going to have to sort out your Microsoft accounts. Scottish schools should be sorted because you've just got OneNote online, and you can also download OneNote onto your desktop computer. So the last thing I want to say is, going back to our Getting Started notebook, there's a few links here to hints and tips and videos, in particular interactive tutorials that are really quite helpful. And one of them is the OneNote class creator. Now, this is a ready-made tool for creating a class, a OneNote class notebook, and it kind of does it all for you. And I've done one here, but I'll go back to the OneNote online version because I think it's slightly easier to see. So when you create a OneNote class notebook, what it effectively does is give you three sets of stuff. You've got a collaboration space, and it says all class members can read or write anything in their notebooks. So this is for, if I was sharing textbooks or other materials with the whole class, you'd drag them here. If you've got a content library, place for readings or worksheets, and so within that you could have stuff about S1 English, for example, links to things you need to do. But it also automatically creates a notebook for each member of the class. You do have to have a Glow an email address for each of your class, and when it creates an independent notebook for each member of your class, it means that you can see these notebooks for, your student 1, student 2, and the student can write to it, but nobody else can. So it kind of sets up the whole structure of OneNote for you. I've not done it for real, and I don't actually know anybody in the school who has, but it certainly it does a lot of the job for you of setting up a notebook. It doesn't, give you any content. You've still got to create the content, but it creates the structure of the thing for you. So really, that's pretty much it. Digital notebook, very easy to add new pages. Very easy to move things around. I like it a lot for planning things like websites and designing information and courses. I use it for, as I say, all my projects. If there's any information about anything that we're doing, so like for example, if one is going to a conference, I would put all my notes about the stuff. I'd find out who's, just copy and paste things from emails, fire in the program, and it kind of means you don't need to have a brain anymore because OneNote's got it all. But it's better than having a brain because you can search it much easier. So if I wanted to do a search for, I don't know, what should we say, Morpurgo, because I know about something about Morpurgo. Well, there we go. All sorts of notebooks that have got Morpurgo. So that's really it. I think I'm going to draw a halt here because that's 25 minutes and go back and see if we've got any questions.
Fiona's posted a couple of questions which I've answered, and one of them she's just written was about it could be quite useful for a few of our students. I think one of the things that would be quite good for students in FE and ICT potentially, and possibly in schools, is, and you might want to just say something about this, Paul, is the potential that you could record a lecture And at the same time, if you had a stylus, you could just, sort of handwrite your notes. If you had a tablet, for example, or an iPad, and you could actually be recording the lecture and just typing up some notes as well. I think that would be quite a useful feature. What do you think about that, Mel and Fiona? Yeah, a bit like audio. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know if I've got a camera on, but we could have a go. So I'll just record a thing here. I haven't set up the recording. Oh, look at that. How unpleasant. Okay, right. So get rid of all this drivel. A lot of my colleagues really hate the way I work because I deliberately don't have a clue what I'm doing, and I like to see whether it's going to work or not. So let's do some recording here. And is it recording? I don't know if it's recording or not. Yes, it is recording.
Yeah.
It must be.
Mm-hmm.
And does it let me type at the same time? Yes. And then if I click somewhere else and do a bit of doodling.
So it's a bit like lecture capture in a strange sort of way.
If I had a stylus, it would be even better, wouldn't it? Or a touch screen. Right, and I'll go back and stop it recording. Now, let's play that back. Oh, disappointing.
Yeah, because you've got
this camera thing.
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah.
Are we still sharing this?
Yep, we're still on. Yep.
Cool.
I think so.
Let me know. It's always good when you don't have a clue what you're doing. Playback. Play. You won't be able to hear it because I think I've muted the sound. Otherwise, we'll get feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, fast forward 10 seconds.
Is there also an option if you have quite cursive handwriting that you can convert that handwriting into digital text as well?
Oh, that's true.
That's quite an option too.
Insert. Draw, is it here? I don't seem to have the ink to text bit. I bet you this won't work. So write your maths here. I've never done this either.
Yeah, that's pictured it quite well. Almost. Yeah, I'm a bit like you, Mel. I've got loads of Word documents, as you say, floating about, and it would be handy just to have everything in one document. Yeah, I think it's potentially good for dyslexic pupils, dyslexic students, because it's a great way of organising and managing all your documents as well.
I think some practice would be required.
Much better you've got a stylus, though. It's hard when it's a mouse.
Certainly is. Getting there. Okay.
One thing I'm just thinking, Stephanie's actually just writing something in, but one thing I'm thinking is that the more you're adding documents to your OneNote file, I guess the bigger that actual file size is getting. So it could potentially, be quite a large file you have at the end of the, or during its time of development.
Yeah, that's true. This particular section here, I saved it as a complete file, and that includes all the textbooks that we've got from the Books for All database, and it's about 100 megabytes. Now you can save it onto a CD and then give it to somebody, or you could save it just as a complete 100 megabyte file on your Dropbox, and then somebody could double click on it and open it on their machine if you gave them the link. But yeah, because particularly if you're in the habit of inserting all these textbooks and large other files into it, it can get quite hefty. But even so, I mean, what impresses me is that you do it, and then it synchronizes itself in the background, and it's not slow. You just open a page. It's just like magic, actually. You open it on your iPad, and you can type a thing on your iPad, and it will just magically appear on your PC before your very eyes. And so far, it's been quite reliable, apart from this problem that we had last week of trying to get the thing open.
We're getting quite positive responses from Mel and Fiona about the organisational aspect of it, particularly for students with autistic spectrum conditions who might become anxious about feeling organised. So having everything in one bit would be quite useful. Is that iPhone, Mel, about having it on an iPhone? Yeah, I think it does.
You can get it on your iPhone.
Yeah.
I think the screen looks a bit cramped. Certainly, I do have it on my Android phone, and it's okay. You know, they've done their best to organise the structure so you can see what you're seeing, but it's a bit of a limited experience if you're trying to make use of the screen space. I mean, it's all right.
Fiona's asking, how does it work out on an iPad?
It's pretty good. It doesn't do everything that the PC version does. They're gradually improving it. The very first version of the iPad, OneNote, for example, didn't let you open password-protected notebooks, because that's another thing you can do if you've got data that you want to keep a bit more secure. But the new one does, and the latest version of the iPad app, I think it came out in March, now finally has the drawing and the handwriting tools at the top. The first version doesn't. So it's what I've found with the iPad version is that it doesn't give you all the flexibility of moving your sections and your pages around, and there's a few other things it doesn't have, like it doesn't let you change the background page for some reason. Although it picks it up if you've created a OneNote page that's got that particular set of rulers or page colours. Well, here's another thing that might be quite handy.
But that's free as well, isn't it?
Yeah, the OneNote app for iPad is free.
Yeah, so across the range, I think, all devices, it's free.
Yeah. So the page colour might be good for students that have got a particular colour preference as well.
And how about if a student needs the text read back to them? Then could they use like a bit of software to have the text read back?
Yes.
Is there anything built into OneNote?
Nothing in OneNote
like
itself.
Ivona or something.
So
like
you'd
that?
have to get. You'd have to find another third party and like mini reader.
Yeah.
It doesn't have, as far as I'm aware, you know how Word has got its speak button built in. I don't think. Maybe it does.
Maybe it's hiding away there. It's just in the works.
Gosh, see, there's so much we don't know. Hang on a minute. Maybe it's got the speak button built in. It does.
Yeah.
James Crowns. Oh, I don't want that. Stick up in the home tab, thanks. Home. New group. No, that's not what I want to do.
Well, Fiona, while I admire your enthusiasm, you need to get a life. So just download it onto your iPad, and we'll bring it all the way home.
Right, hang on it. We'll do this speak. Even better. Right, so we've got speak there, and we'll have the speak button added to it, and that'll be okay. And. Oh no.
Oh, yeah. But yeah.
That's the first time I've seen OneNote crash, actually. Damn. Whose idea was that? Great.
Yeah. It's all going so well.
Okay.
Well, we've kind of run over our time a bit, so I don't know if there's any questions, any more questions about that. But that has a lot of potential. You know, if we get OneNote working and we can get some speech as well, it's that'd be great.
So select the text, click play. You can't hear it because it's all muted.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yes, that's why we don't want to unmute it.
So it does work as well. Great. So Stephanie, you're at Bangor Access Centre. You're going to get it across the campus with 365. So fantastic. Then that's a really good opportunity. Maybe let us know how, keep us up to date how that goes, progress. Well, we've got a few questions coming in, or possible queries, or comments. I think we'll need to be. Well, yeah. Thank you, Fiona. Thanks for attending, and Angie. I'm glad to see that you think it's got some potential. That was good. Thanks, Fiona. Yeah, it was a good session, wasn't it? Really enjoyed it. I learned a few things. The classroom option looks really good. I'd be interested should that work in a further education college, but that's good. Okay, thanks, Lisa. Thanks, everyone, for attending today. We'll close the session now. And remember, you can watch the archives. So if you go back to the Collate Scotland website and look at the archives, you can share that with your friends and colleagues if they wanted to see the archive of this. It should be ready by sometime tomorrow. Great, Fiona. Thanks then. Okay, see you, everyone. Bye.
Cheerio. Bye.
Bye.